It is extremely important to me that the stories we share are authentic and that we strive to tell both perspectives. I've been a local to this remarkable island 3 times and a tourist too many times to count. Our Home Your Holiday celebrates Aruba. There's a reason why Arubans are so patriotic, and there's a reason why visitors keep coming back. Let's dive into the elements that makes Aruba our home and the perfect holiday. Pistachis, hearty soups, ayacas, croquettes. What's this one, you ask? It's queshiena, but deconstructed and elevated. I think we can all agree that all of these foods are part of the island's rich food culture. This is just a very, very small example of what we have to offer. There is so much more to our One Happy Island's culinary scene, and it is time we showcase that with the first ever Auténtico Aruba Culinary Festival. Before we dive into Aruba Tourism Authority's fresh new concept to showcase our culinary affair, what are some of Ronella's and Sanju's favorites?
For me, my favorite is queshiena and kalbas stoba.
You know, I always said, and this is a very personal opinion and something very close and dear to my heart, I always said that Aruba could do really well with a soup festival, for instance, because I think that Aruba has the best soups, and they're hearty, they give us energy, and yet they are the best. So I would say all different types of soups.
Kalbas stoba, that has to do with my parents who introduced me to that dish, and my mom. Yeah, I loved her cooking. The kalbas stoba was on top of my list in terms of what I love about her cooking.
It's always great to be part of the press, but especially today, since local media members got the chance to taste a small preview of how Aruba's cuisine will be showcased at Auténtico. I have to say, if these dishes are any indication of what's to come, we are in for something truly special. The braised short rib was absolutely delectable, but the star of the show has to be this queshiena. At first glance, I thought it was a dessert. After digging in, I realized it was a deconstructed and elevated queshiena, which is a local favorite. Impressed is an understatement. Then here's my tiramisu served in a cup of coffee where even the mug is edible. If this preview is any indication of what's in store on October 7th at Auténtico, you can bet I'll be there every single day. Auténtico will take place in downtown Orangestad, specifically on Wilhelmina Straat from October 7th through the 13th. More than 20 local restaurants will participate, alongside internationally renowned chefs. The festival will also feature the popular Bartender's Brawl and the Iron Chef competition. But that's not all. This isn't just another event. There's a strategy behind this concept. When we travel, I'm talking about you and I, one of the things we look forward to most has to be exploring the local cuisine. Food speaks volumes about a country or an island's culture. Take Aruba, for example. We've embraced many international favorites, such as the Venezuelan ayaca, the Dutch croquette, just to name a few, and we've actually adapted them into our own unique versions. This highlights the incredible diversity of our culture.
Every country you visit, there's either a main dish that they offer or a style of culinary offering. However, Aruba, what brings the authenticity to Aruba is the diversity. It's the diversity of our population. It's the diversity of the foods. It's how these foods have evolved even. So we even have foods that have a diverse background but have fused into new Aruban culinary offerings. So I think that is the nice thing about Aruba. It not only tells you how our foods blend, it's how our people blend, and how we are also very inviting to others to come and blend with us.
We also conducted research to basically determine what is so different about Aruba's cuisine And as such, what do we need to highlight that provides us with a comparative advantage? Looking at our direct competitors, which are the islands in the Caribbean. And from that research, the conclusion was that the diversity of our local cuisine. So a culinary event allows us to highlight that. And I'm referring to the number of restaurants we have, which we compare, like counting the number of restaurants, focusing on different culinary cuisines or different cuisines worldwide. So we know that that is a point that we need to highlight. The beauty about this is also that by highlighting that, we also focus on our culture, on the diversity of our population, the more than over 100 nationalities living on the island, and the richness that has basically led to in terms of also our culinary offering. So that remains a critical point.
Over the years, ATA has conducted comprehensive studies revealing that food is the second highest expense for our visitors. This makes it crucial to showcase what Aruba has to offer locally. One of the best aspects of Autentico is its balance. While it's definitely an event that appeals to tourists, it's also designed with our local community in mind.
The Iron Chef will be a very interesting event because what we'll do this year is we'll have the students from the APE and APB supporting the chefs.
We also want to basically motivate our youth, those studying in the culinary arts at APE or APB, but also those who still need to make a decision about what study to pursue.
And the event will also create awareness amongst our people, our students, that this is an area where they can find a wonderful career opportunity.
Through this, we hope to inspire them also through our local talents in the culinary scene, but also in combination with international talent, renowned chefs who will be visiting as part of the programs.
Young local culinary students will gain invaluable experience by working alongside established local and international chefs, offering them tremendous exposure. The decision to host Autentico and set this multi-day affair on Wilhelmina Strat was carefully planned by the ATA team. They've been attentive to local feedback on stimulating local culture and, more importantly, managing visitor movement. This culinary event is a key part of their strategic objective to manage the flow of visitors on our island. Autentico is a ticketed event, and all proceeds from ticket sales will go directly toward promoting educational programs on our island. Don't miss Autentico from October 7th through 13th on Wilhelmina Strat. If you've been following along with my content, you know one of the things I love to highlight is Aruba's cuisine. With Autentico coming up, it's the perfect time to do a flashback on some of the local favorites we featured. Bon appetit! In case you aren't familiar with croquettes, this is the snack we are making today. Crispy on the outside with a creamy filling. We won't get into the precise details of Ruben's croquette recipe, but vegetables are a must. Let's start there. Green peppers are a must to make croquettes. A big pot on the stove is needed to cook up the ground beef. A good amount of time mixing and stirring takes place now. Then it's time to hit crush to blend up the veggies that Ruben chopped up earlier. Surprisingly, the croquette recipe calls for quite a bit of vegetables. Once the onions and peppers are all blended and good to go, it gets mixed in with the ground beef on the stovetop. Once the flour gets added into the ground beef and vegetable mixture, quite a bit of elbow grease is required to thicken the filling. Ruben says at least 5 to 10 minutes of non-stop churning over the stovetop is needed. Croquettes are not Aruban. They are considered a snack that originated from the Netherlands. But due to the island having such a strong Dutch influence, the crispy snack has been basically adopted here as their own. And according to some, there's an Aruban version to the Dutch croquettes. According to Ruben, Aruba has put their own local spin to the croquette.
The Dutch version, they have croquette and bitterbal. It's the same, but the The better ball is a round one, the croquette is the long one. And it tastes a little bit different, but it's almost the same. The Dutch one in the inside is a little bit liquid. And Aruba is like a little bit harder in the inside. But there's not much difference.
We've seen Ruben do many things in this kitchen today. He's chopped up the vegetables, so he did all the prep work, and then he put it in a blender and then everything on the stove. This is, of course, the content of the croquette. The next step is deep frying it and then tasting. Heat vegetable oil to a very high temperature. Then the ready rolled croquettes with breadcrumbs are dropped in to be deep fried. So I had said the last step in the croquette cooking process was to fry it, but that is actually not the official last step. Ruben, please show us the official,
mustard.
Yes, the mustard.
Put some mustard and...
Perfect, so that is the condiment that pairs with the croquette. So I have a really nice story that you don't know about, Ruben, when it comes to croquettes. Of course, when I was a child, I lived here. After every ballet lesson, my mother would take me to a snack shop in Dakota, and we would get a snack, and they had a bunch of different stuff there. But after every ballet lesson, I looked forward to getting a croquette with my mom. It's time to taste. I'm really excited. It looks so good. The crunchy, and then the meaty, so good. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Mustard is optional. Some prefer it and others don't, but enjoying croquettes with the yellow condiment is the most common way to consume it. Making a sandwich with a croquette is also a typical way to eat it. Araceli,
Hi.
bombini,
Gracias.
danki babin.
Gracias.
Bisami, kiko buta kushina awe.
Yo ahora estoy haciendo cómo armar la yaca. Ya todo está preparado. Voy a poner aquí el guiso. El guiso está compuesto de carne, galinha y porco. Está así una yaca.
Y bon ara, ¿cuál país?
Yo soy de Venezuela, tengo 4 años aquí en Aruba.
Una tradición.
Eso es una tradición familiar en Navidad. Nosotros tenemos un compartir familiar, de vecinos. Tú sabes, anteriormente intercambiábamos una yaca con otra, un plato de comida con pan de jamón, pernil, ensalada de galiña. Y la yaca no puede faltar.
Aracelis says the most important part of the hallacas is the meat stew that makes up most of the filling. Her traditional family recipe from Venezuela calls for stew meat, pork, and chicken. To get the flavor really going, she throws in other ingredients such as onion, chives, paprika, garlic, celery, soy sauce, cooking wine, oil, stock cubes, and much more. Another star of the hallacas is of course the cornmeal, which holds everything together. The secret to Araceli's hallacas is what she does with the corn flour. She kneads the flour with chicken broth beforehand, which is a step, according to her, that cannot be missed.
Yo siempre preparo la carne y el puerco juntos. La galiña la preparo aparte. Hiervo la galiña, lavo bien la galiña, la hiervo, le coloco ingredientes para que quede un dulce sabor y uso esa agua para hacer la masa, que es esta agua, tengo aquí, que ya usé.
Araceli says she thinks it is great that the island has adopted this delicious tradition during the holidays from her home country. But there are a few differences between the two typical recipes.
En Aruba normalmente le ponen, hacen su guiso con galiña, he visto, y también usan, yo uso rasenchi, en Venezuela se usa esta pasa pequeña, aquí usan la pasa más grande, y cacahuetes también le ponen a la yaca. Y también le colocan pica, aquí le gusta mucho el pica.
It is time to assemble and wrap. To start, make sure you have a piece of dry plantain leaf. Next, take a small ball of cornmeal and dip it in chicken broth. Then spread the cornmeal around the plantain leaf. Place a generous portion of the meat stew on top of the plantain leaf. Then top the filling off with ingredients such as carrots, green peppers, olives, and raisins. Time to wrap it all up. Give the cornmeal a bit of a shape before fully wrapping it. A ball of yarn is necessary. After the hallacas are all wrapped, drop them into a pot of boiling water to cook for approximately 45 minutes. With some TV magic, the 45 minutes is done and we can take one out of the pot to unwrap. After all the hard work that Araceli put in, it's time to taste. That is so good. Everything is tasty. Everything. The filling. Araceli also thinks it's good. Not only because she made it, but because it's actually very good. And that's a wrap on the mouth-watering hallacas with no pun intended.